you want to talk about depth, there's a little bit too much depth at first base, meaning that like there's potential trade chips coming, come to the deadline with the likes of Coby Mayo and Mountcastle and who knows who else. I mean, we don't know what the position players are going to look like, especially with Westberg, questionable with the Obi injury, and maybe you put Mayo over at third base for a bit. Like, but at the end of the day, there's too many guys that are designated for first place or first base when you have the polar bear that plays on average 155 games a year. Mm-hmm. So I think, in my opinion, it could be a situation in that, hey, like we didn't get the guy that we wanted, but we have chips on the table that we could potentially use later on in the year if we so need to. Let's just say if somebody goes down in the rotation or they want to add an ace like starter to get them across the finish line and win a goddamn playoff game.
Yeah, the playoff, it all comes down to winning the playoffs, right? Trying to win there,
especially this club, because I showed a stat in our little group chat that everyone in the AL East has played the Dodgers. I think in the last 10 years
in the World Series,
yeah. Except for the O's.
Well, it's good for the Dodgers and for every other team to break through.
I actually have a chance.
I think so. The Dodgers
since 2020. I think.
So the Dodgers won. They lost to the Red Sox, and they won the ones against the Yankees and the Blue Jays
and the Rays.
And the Rays. Yeah. So really, essentially, what we're hearing is that if the Dodgers play an AL East team in the World Series, they typically win.
But if the O's win against the Dodgers,
then the Dodgers.
Someone's got to.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
The Red Sox did do it before the Monstars. I think that was that 2018, maybe I'd like to say.
Yep. 2018.
So anyway, to this conversation, Zach, we kind of touched on it a little bit in the past. It might have even been yesterday. I don't have an answer for what they're going to exactly do. Because to me, I don't think that they want to say, hey, Coby, we're going to put you at third, even with Jordan Westberg out. They said they want him to play first. Ryan Mountcastle, they haven't said about him going to the outfield. You can argue Mounty's your best defensive first baseman, so he's going to stay there. But the problem, Zach, is I think the rest of Major League Baseball is aware of the Orioles situation.
Yeah.
And they are going to try to buy low. They're not going to give in just to give in, and in some cases, the Orioles, not knocking on wood, you don't want any bad injuries. I don't want that at all. But in some cases, the only way it feels like it makes sense is if someone got hurt, and now that opens up a spot for them to play more consistently, and you have the depth for it. But for a value piece, I want to get that out there. I don't think the Orioles have the value as high as they want, certainly not for Mounty. And for Coby, I think teams are not going to push that envelope there and offer this perception that some team's going to give an ace pitcher for any of the Orioles' first baseman right now. I think that's a really far-fetched thought. Like it's not going to happen. So I want to erase that. But Zach, like that is the issue here. You have three right-handed hitting corner guys, specifically first baseman DHs.
Yeah, and like the conversation comes up of like, yeah, we'll trade them for pitching. Like, okay, the Orioles need pitching. Yeah, so does every other effing team in the league. Like so the value there, like pitching, unfortunately, is a lot more valuable, especially if you're talking about, I've seen people, and I've even mentioned about, hey, do you put a package together for a late inning reliever? Before the Bassett, it was, okay, do you get another starter? A first baseman, right-handed power hitting first baseman, in a lot of ways, come a dime a dozen. Like that is kind of the mold there. It's either a power hitting lefty or a power hitting righty. If you have a good piece in the bullpen, good young piece in the rotation, it's going to take a lot more to get someone there, because you can teach guys to play first. Not easy, but we see so many times guys being like, oh, well, there's nowhere else to put him. Let's see if he can play first. Let's DH him. So I agree, Ryan. Like the notion that, if they can just give up Mayo, they'll get a star relief pitcher. They'll get a star starting pitcher. That's not the case because like you said, people know the Orioles situation. They're not just going to give up. The Orioles aren't just going to give up Mayo or give up Mountie just to give them up. And another team's not just going to go, oh, okay, we'll take them at the value that they were at their highest. You know, they know that the Orioles have to make a decision. So they're not going to give up the best assets they have when they know they wait. It probably doesn't come down to that. So the Orioles are in a not so great position with that because you're at a log jam at a position that it feels like a lot of teams. I mean, there are teams here and there, but a lot of teams have log jams at first because it's a lot of versatility there. Can you have that first baseman, that third baseman, move him over to first, that left fielder, move him over to first. We see so many guys as they go later in their career get moved over to first that, okay, a young first baseman's nice. The bat is really nice when you talk about the upside of Mayo and Mountcastle. But like you said, Ryan, I don't see a team seeing Coby Mayo or Ryan Mountcastle and saying, we'll give you one of our top bullpen guys. We'll give you this starting rotation piece because we need a power hitting first baseman that bad.
Yeah, and also, too, at this point, no team is going to want to give up any of their pieces that they're slotting into their roster right now. Any of those moves would have or should have been earlier on, unless an injury happens. And then the demand's there where you are in a pinch. Well, then guess what? A team can call the Orioles and they can try to find something that makes sense. But for now, Polar Bear Pete needs to play. He's got to play. You got to figure out what you're going to do with the two catchers, and Adley and Samuel. Hopefully Westy's ready to rock and roll. It sounds like he will. And Blaze Alexander is probably going to be counted upon to play a little bit more second base when this whole thing gets started. So, yeah, time will tell. That's the issue here. And that's one of just the many storylines.